This channel started for me in my great books class at college. It was like the third day of class maybe, and we had just started to use our textbook, this one, and the first story was part of the Canterbury Tales. Chaucer's tales are really interesting because they were written so long ago. They were written years and years ago. But they're fun to read, you know? They're like, ah ha 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 ha, sex jokes and killing people and doing really horrible stuff like it's a Looney Tunes cartoon. And it's so much fun to read. You do? And then we get to class and we're talking about the question of the story, which is avarice the root of all evil? And I said, yeah, it sounds like it. And they're like, did you like the story, Desiree? Did you like the partner's tale? And I was like, no, not really. I think, because you know what? I think the partner's full of it. He's an asshole, and his story reflects that perfectly. Okay? How do I put this? He's irritating. And his story is contradictory, and that's part of the fun of it. Part of the fun of it is being like, LOL, the partner is such a piece of crap. Look at him and all his contradictory bullshit. But let's talk about the partner's tale. So we have the group, and the group is going, and they're walking. Well, they're not walking. They're on their horses. They're going on their horses, and they're in the forest, and they're all taking turns telling stories. And they reach a point where someone's just told the most bawdy, ridiculous tale. It's horrible. Everyone's aghast, and they want something nice and pure. So you know what they do? They're like, hey, Mr. Partner, can you do a thing for us and tell us a good story? And he's like, yeah, I'll tell you a story. I'm a partner. Partners sell people pardons in the eyes of gods. So this story I have for you, you're gonna like it. So he starts his story, The Partner's Tale. In Flanders there once was a company of youngsters wedded to such sin and folly as gaming, dicing, brothels, and taverns, where night and day with harps, lutes, and citherns they spend their time in dicing and in dancing, eating and drinking more than they can carry, and with these abominable excesses they offer up the vilest sacrifices to the devil in these temples of the devil. So, a nice fun start. A fun, relaxing, nice scene to open to with these hooligans and their devilry and their devil worshipping in these temples of the devil. So we're off to a nice sedate start, and then they're going around, they're doing their dice, they're doing their drinking, and this guy comes in and he's like, this guy is dead, he's your friend, right? And they're like, oh, our friend is dead. So what do you do when your friend is dead? You get revenge when your friend is dead. So they go off, they all go off, and they're like, okay, so our friend is dead. Who killed our friend? Death killed your friend. Oh, we're gonna kill this death guy. Because you're gonna fight death. You're gonna go get death. That makes sense, guys. Okay. So they go to fight death. Fight death. They're ridiculous and stupid. I hate it. But they go to fight death, and on their way, they meet this old dude, and they're like, hey, old dude, we hate you. And he's like, blessings upon you. And he's like, we hate old people, and we're terrible hooligans who worship the devil. So, heavy-handed, making them seem like idiots. And they're like, do you know where this guy Death went? He killed our friend. And he's like, oh, he's down in that orchard. Oh, I'm so old. Oh, I'm old. And I can't die. And they're like, okay, we're going down to the orchard. So they go down to the orchard, and when they get to the orchard, they see this tree. And the tree, underneath the tree, there's all this gold, there's these riches, and they are overcome with their greed, with their avarice, their intense desire for gold, okay? So, there they are, overthrown by their intense desire for gold, and they're like, oh my god, we're rich. We no longer care about our friend who has been killed by death. He is nothing in the grand scheme of things, because we're rich now, guys. We made it. So now that they made it, they have to decide what to do. So they're like, okay, so we have some money. So here's some money. Go get us some wine and bread, and we're going to eat here with our food. And then after it's dark, we'll take the money into town. So they draw straws, and the guy who picks the shortest straw has to go. Okay, that's fair, right? That's how it works. That's how you make big decisions, like who's going to leave the gold and who's going to guard the gold. So the guy goes off. So the two are standing by the gold, all nefarious. And they're like, ha ha ha, we're villains. And then they're like, hey, you know what would be really cool? if we killed the other guy when he got back so we could have all the gold, because you know gold split 3 ways only goes so far, but gold split 2 ways, now that's us rich. And they're like, ha ha ha, this is gonna be amazing, yay us. So they make their decision. They are going to kill the 3rd guy when he gets back. They make their plan and then they sit there to relax with their plan. Okay, so that's these guys. That's what they've done while he's off getting the stuff. Now the 3rd guy, he has to go into town and get them food and stuff. So he's off in town getting them food and stuff, and he's thinking, you know, I don't really want to share all this gold with these 3 idiots. They're terrible people. They'll lose it all and then they'll come to me begging for money. Something to that effect. It's been a while. So he's in town and he's thinking about this, and he decides that he's going to kill the baboons. And he's like, okay, this is a good plan. So he buys some poison, which is, you know, easy to come by because it's the way back whens. So he's buying poison, he has the poison, he poisons their bottles of wine, and then he's like, LOL, this is going to be perfect. So he goes and he gives them their poison bottles, but as soon as he arrives, these 2 are like, bam, 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 and then he dies. And they're like, haha, now the gold must only split 2 ways. Isn't this amazing, partner? And they're like, yay. But they're like, wine, let's drink wine. And they drink their wine, and they die because it's poison. And they all die, and that's how the story ends. That's how the Partner's Tale ends. And they're like, oh, everyone's just like, oh. And then he talks about how he uses this to make people feel bad for being greedy and give them his stuff so that they can be pardoned in the eyes of gods, and how this is wonderful for him and how he's such a good partner and how he's not a good person but he's a good partner, which is very true. That's the Partner's Tale, and I don't like it. So now that we know what happened and how I got recommended into YouTube, let's talk about the Partner's Tale, alright? Let's talk about this idea of greed as the root of all evil. So, not greed. Avarice as the root of all evil is a really interesting idea because evil is such a broad concept. And when I think of evil, I think about murder. And people who shoot up schools full of kindergartners. And people who rape people. That's terrible. That's bad and intrinsically evil, I think. So, avarice is the root of all evil is an interesting concept to tackle, because how does greed get back to avarice at the root of all evil? But then you think about these people, these 3 idiots, these 3 hooligans, they killed their best friends and totally abandoned the idea of avenging the 4th one, who is Cinderella, the 4th friend. So they completely abandoned the idea of revenge for their friend in pursuit of gold. And you know, once they were rich, wouldn't they have been considered above the law? Isn't it true that with enough money you can probably hire a good enough... In modern time, isn't it true that with enough money you can wiggle your way out of most situations? Can't you hire a good enough lawyer and get off for terrible, evil things? And if you're in a position where you can just buy your way out of trouble, doesn't that mean that you are going to be more tempted to do these evil, awful things? I don't know. But that's not really greed. That's just having a lot of money. But the desire for money, the hunger for money, the idea that the idea of wanting more constantly, like, I want more people to suffer, so I guess that's it. You want more and more and more, and it's so intense and all-encompassing. Everything you do at that point, when you're all-encompassed by greed at the root of all evil, is that everything evil stems from greed. And I guess that's true. Intense desire for sex with or without consent, I guess that's rape. Intense desire to see someone dead, intense thirst for gold and doing whatever it takes. So even though the partner is definitely full of shit, maybe he has a point. What do you guys think? Whether you agree or disagree with the idea of avarice is all evil, please remember to leave a comment telling me about what you think. And please, please subscribe and like this video and do all that nice stuff that people do when they like a video, okay? Thanks! See you next time.